welcome.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. It is, this is our WOW podcast, episode number 7. Wendy, can you believe it?
Lucky 7.
We're almost to double digits. I feel like we're actually going to make it. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Dr. Wendy Sue Massey. I am an alternative medical practitioner, holistic nutrition specialist, lover of Jesus, mom, Gigi, lover of all things natural. And this is my dear soul twin, best friend, Wendy Flournoy. Tell us who you are, Wendy.
Hi, guys. I'm Wendy Flournoy, certified hypnotherapist, herbalist in the making, mom, wife, Gigi to almost 6. Number 6 is on the way. God bless.
That's so exciting.
Gardener, maker of all things non-toxic.
Amen, sister. This is why we get along so well. I have to share, I've gotten some amazing comments about what we're doing here, and it fuels that fire. This is something Wendy and I have talked about doing forever, and we're finally enjoying this. We're very, low budget right now. We'd love to grow. I mean, I'm in my dining room today because bless my mom's heart, she's here visiting and has my office. So we are low budget, but we are high passion. And
you know what? We preach that to people too. You don't need a lot of money.
That's right. But we're reaching people, and I'm getting a lot of great feedback from people saying that what we are talking about is resonating. It means a lot to them. A lot of my clients are like, I had to go back and take notes. And I love hearing that. And honest to goodness, the best way I've been able to describe this is that it's like we've taken our phone conversations and turned it into a live broadcast, because this is how we are on a regular basis.
Remember years ago when we were hanging out on Wednesdays, this is what it was like while we were planting or making stuff in the kitchen, whatever. Yeah. We were doing something, but these were the conversations.
Yes. We were solving all the world's problems while our hands and feet were in the dirt. But my goodness, yes, I am just so thrilled that we get this opportunity every week to do this.
Me too. So grateful. Yeah. And I love hearing the feedback from people about how much they're learning and the things that they're trying at home just because they're learning. I love it.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, we're going to do a teaser today. Speaking of doing it yourself at home, we have 2 DIY elderberry syrup kits that we are giving away today. And we're going to do one now, and we're going to make you wait for one later in the podcast. So let me go over here. I have not figured out yet if it's even possible how to share a screen from this. So forgive me. I'm going to my little wheel of names on my other screen, and I'm going to click it. And this will be person number 1. Diane Colvin is our winner.
Yay, congratulations, Diane. You can email wendysonwellness@gmail.com. Just send us your shipping information and I'll get that out to you ASAP.
Yay, so exciting. Diane's one of my clients. I'm super excited for her. I know she will love that. We will do the second one later. And for anybody who's wondering what the criteria was, if you missed last week, everybody who commented the word health in the comments, subscribed to my YouTube channel, and shared the video, shared the podcast, was entered in this drawing. And we're giving away 2 DIY elderberry syrup kits. So congratulations, Diane. Exciting. All right, girl. I should have brought a piece of paper in here just for the visual of balling it up and throwing it away, because I had all kinds of things planned for what I wanted to talk about next week, because 2 words, Jillian Michaels.
If y'all haven't seen those that speech that Jillian Michaels did, I know Wendy shared it on Facebook. I'll go out today and share it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we aren't going to talk about it yet, but I will just tell you, because of her, daggone her, I have thrown away everything I was going to talk about, because now I want to talk about her and what that amazing speech was all about. So
That's one of the reasons we have that rigid flexibility.
Yes, rigid flexibility is so important in what we're doing for that reason. So I will table brain health, which is what I really wanted to talk about today, to next week, because that's going to be important every time. That's going to be important to everybody all the time.
Yes,
So let's start with you, because
okay.
I know me, once I get on a tangent, I'm unstoppable. So I am going to get you, Wendy, to cover all of the fun stuff you had planned today, because I know you had a lot.
All right. Yeah. Last week I told everybody we were gonna go through the differences between tinctures, extracts, and teas, things like that. So I'm coming at it as a perspective of someone who has no idea. That way, if you don't know anything about it, then it's great information. If you're advanced in your herbal journey, then hopefully you'll get something out of it too. So let's start with an infusion, and something that we all typically do if you drink tea or coffee or have Wendy's detox drink every day. That is considered an infusion. It's typically in water. It can be in oil too, because you can infuse flowers in oil, where you just kind of steep the plant matter in the water, and it excretes the benefits out of the plant. Let's see.
Would something like I put vitamin C powder in my water every day, would that be considered an infusion? Even though it's kind of,
it doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
A tea is an infusion, whether it's cold or whether it's hot. Okay. Something like raspberry leaf is very, very tender. So you wouldn't want to make a tincture out of that, because it's going to get rid of all the medicinal properties of it. So you would want to make that as an infusion, whether it's cold or hot. And typically infusions will, they can be hot boiling water. They can be cold water. They could be a room temperature oil. I know with like my calendula balm, when I make that, the calendula flowers put in a jar, and then I just put oil over them, whether it's coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil. And the oils are different too, because like the coconut oil tends to be cooling, whereas the extra virgin olive oil is considered warming. So it depends on what you're making things for, your goal. What's your goal? So that depends on the things that you use. So the infusion is one way. Now decoction is, you definitely have to boil the water. You have to boil the liquid, because decoctions are used mainly for like barks, roots, twigs, things like that, things that are harder. So it takes a little more to extract the medicinal properties out of it.
Would that include things like ginger root, turmeric root, like even the softer roots like that?
No, the softer ones, all it takes is a little bit of warmth to extract. So they're not considered hard.
Okay.
But your things like your chaga and reishi mushrooms, most of your mushrooms and things like that, even though they may be soft, it takes a lot to get the medicinal values out of there. So those would be good in decoctions.
Okay.
When you're doing a decoction too, it's also good to use enamel, glass, or stainless steel.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference. And, when I'm stirring things up, I use little wood teaspoons or bamboo thing, or even like a chopstick.
That's a good idea.
I always have those wooden skewers for the grill in my drawer, so I use those a lot for stirring up herbal things.
That's smart. That's smart, because when you're using those metal spoons, it can affect the compound.
Yes, it can. Yeah. It can affect a lot of things.
So
stay away from that.
One quick question about what you said earlier about using the coconut oil. Now, when you're doing these, are you using the coconut oil like we buy in the grocery store, or are you using a fractionated coconut oil that's more liquid?
No, I buy from a bulk organic place.
Okay.
But you can buy, if you're buying high quality coconut oil from the grocery store, then absolutely you can use that.
Okay. Okay.
That's typically like 72 to what they call 72-degree coconut oil. So it melts a little easier. In the summertime, when I'm making products with coconut oil, I like to go for a higher melting degree. So I get like a 96-degree coconut oil, just so your product that you're carrying around in your pocketbook doesn't melt all in your purse.
Yes, for sure. For sure. That's good to know. Now, how do you know what the coconut oil is? Do they say it on the jar? Because I've never noticed that there's like 72, 96.
The stores, to the public, the stores only carry the 76.
That makes
76 or 72.
Okay.
Now I'm drawing a blank.
72.
72 and 96.
That makes sense because I have them, especially because where I have my cabinet near my stove, it tends to be, at least partially liquid all the time. So that
mine too, because my oven is here and my cabinet is above the oven. So every time I use my oven, my coconut oil melts.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just was
no. If you have that question, somebody else probably has it. All right. So we've gone over infusion and decoction. And I'm always going to say this, always do your own research on what your goal is, because that's so many things can be changed and altered and customized that I'll never be the one to sit here and tell you, you have to do it this way. You have to use this. You have to use that, because there's so many ways to customize and in what you need.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maceration. Now this is just like those tender raspberry leaves. For any tender herbs, you'll just want to put it into like a very room temperature or cold liquid. And those tender herbs and plants will be extracted out easily like that. And usually with a lot of heat or alcohol tincture or something like that, it's just going to destroy the medicinal properties of it. So there's not a whole lot of differences in the different things except like heat and the liquid you're using. So we're going to go over that now. Tinctures versus extracts. All right. The only difference is concentration.
Okay.
Think vanilla extract. Okay. So when you're making vanilla extract, it's only vanilla beans and alcohol. Okay. So, but in a vanilla extract or something like that, you tend to put like a whole bunch of the matter. Whereas in a regular tincture, it's they have certain ratios. So the ratio for an extract would be like 1 to 1. Okay. You have 1 ounce of alcohol, 1 ounce of vanilla bean.
Got it.
So it would be 1 to 1 ratio. With the tinctures, it's typically 5 to 1.
Okay.
So 5 parts alcohol, 1 part plant matter.
Okay.
So it's a little more diluted. Both ways work. I know when I was helping Rick with his pain from his broken back, I did concentrated tinctures.
That makes sense.
Okay. Because I wanted a strong, powerful dose.
Yeah.
So it's another one of those things. What's your goal?
Right.
Because, you don't need a tincture that powerful just for everyday use.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
Let's see. So concentration basically is the only difference between extract and tincture. Now, with these, we have different menstruums that we can use. Menstruum being the liquid. You can have vinegar, alcohol, or glycerin. Now, let's start with glycerin, just because I've never done glycerin. Only because most glycerins use palm or soy.
Yeah.
So I just stayed away from it. The vinegars, I have done the vinegars. I like the vinegars. Think fire cider. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of vinegar tincture.
Mm-hmm.
The vinegars are good for kids because you can drop it in their juice or their water, and it's, they're getting the medicine without the nasty taste. It's still going to work for them. So if you don't want to be giving your kids the alcohol, I mean, I've done the alcohol drops in their water and stuff too, because highly diluted. I don't think the alcohol is that big of a deal, but some people are against it, and I totally get that. So I would go with the vinegars. And really the only difference with the vinegars and the alcohol is the vinegar its shelf life isn't as long as alcohol.
Yeah.
It has to be refrigerated. Okay. You have to refrigerate the vinegar tinctures, and the alcohol tinctures. I mean, they found some tinctures from 100 years ago that are still good.
Well, if you think about it, if you have a jar of homemade pickles,
yes,
versus a jar of homemade moonshine, not that I've ever made it, but I sure have had my share of it in my past when I was a drinker. But that moonshine is going to last forever.
Yes.
The pickles have, a lifespan.
And basically that's what your alcohol is doing for your herbs or your plant matter. It's preserving it. It is extracting the medicine out of it and preserving it.
Right.
And also with the extracts, one thing that's different with the extracts is you typically have to shake them up before you use them, because things will settle because it's high concentrated.
Got it.
Let's see. All right. So with your tinctures, your vinegars and your alcohol, they both have to sit for a certain amount of time. Now I would say anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks. Most of mine, I usually let sit for 8 weeks. I want the maximum benefit.
Same.
And that's why I always say that herbal medicine is not quick medicine. No. Because everything you have to plan ahead to have it ready for when you need it. Because when you need it right then. You don't want to wait 8 weeks.
Yeah.
The only thing with the alcohol tinctures that I've ever noticed is that sometimes, and you want to put them in a cool, dark place, shake them up a couple times a week. If you forget, it's really not a big deal. Just when you come across it, just shake it up. Sometimes the alcohol will evaporate out of them. So if you notice that, you want to make sure that your plant matter is always under the alcohol, under the liquid.
Yeah.
So if you notice that it's evaporating, just top it off. Just open it up and top it off. I typically use dry plant matter.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You can use fresh.
Is this unless you're macerating? This is just for if you're macerating, you want it to be fresh, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Good point. I mean, with teas, with infusions, decoctions, or macerating, it can be, usually it's fresh.
Yeah.
Okay. But with my teas, I use dried plant matter too.
Sure.
Okay. If I use fresh for tinctures, I will lay them out on the counter on paper towels and let them wilt for a few hours.
That makes sense.
Just to pull some of the moisture out of it. Because if you go out and pick something and put it straight into a jar and add alcohol to it, you're going to run the risk of mold and bacteria and things like that, only because of the moisture that's in it. Now, after letting the alcohol and the vinegars sit for 6 to 8 weeks, I prefer 8. You put them into a dark colored bottle, the amber bottles with the droppers and things like that. They'll last, put the vinegar ones in the refrigerator and the alcohol ones, label, date it, and put it in a dark cabinet. It'll last you forever. Now, when you're using those, the dose for the alcohol-based ones is typically 2 to 4 milliliters, which is around 40 to 60 drops. And you can do that up to 3 times a day or more, depending on what your goal is. Okay. Now, don't ever use that dropper and put your mouth around it.
Yeah.
Because when you put it back in your bottle, you're going to run the risk of getting some kind of junk in there and your tincture is going to go bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that the alcohol makes the alcohol tincture different from everything else is that alcohol can extract resins and alkaloids that aren't water soluble. So it will pull things out of the plant matter that other things can't. Okay.
Got it.
So it's still one of those things. It's like, what is your goal?
Yeah.
So define what your goal is, and then do your research on, okay, well, this is the plant I think I want to use. What's the best way to get the medicine out of it for me?
Yeah. Do you have favorite places that you research or a favorite book? And I mean, I know you're like me. We have hundreds, but is there like one source that you love to go to?
No.
No?
I wish. I probably have 30 different books.
Mhm.
The Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine is probably one of my favorites.
That is a good one.
There's so many. There are so many good, great herbalists out there. Matthew Wood.
Oh, I
know
love
he's
him.
one of your favorites too.
Yes.
There are so many. I
Mhm.
couldn't just say one.
Yeah, no. I love that you said what you said about the glycerin. And just to let anybody know, that's something that, all of my label readers out there, all of my label readers that I'm so proud of.
Yeah.
When you read the labels on your foods or your medicines or your personal care products, they love to just say, sometimes they just say glycerin, but they'll say vegetable glycerin. Y'all, that ain't kale and carrot. Okay. Nope. It is 99.9% of the time genetically modified soy and or palm oil.
Yes.
The palm oil is less concerning, but they don't have to tell you. Nope. The biggest reason why people are concerned about palm oil is excessive ingestion, or they are destroying rainforests to make palm oil. So if it's, but when they are going to the trouble of telling you it's just vegetable glycerin, I will just about guarantee you it's soy most of the times, and it's not a good quality at all. So yeah.
No, and it's basically a sugar alcohol, and every time I look it up, for herbalism stuff, it's the spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So basically for kids, it does have a longer shelf life than the vinegars, because it's like 3 to 6 years for the glycerin base. But I've never used it just because of the soy and the palm oils. Yeah. And I tend to be very biased towards the alcohol tinctures.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, the little bit that you would use, because the main people that use glycerin in all the literature I ever see, it's either because they're making it for children, or it's that they're making it for somebody who is just strict no alcohol,
or they're selling it.
Or
like
they're
online,
selling it
because there's a lot of laws. There's a lot of laws online where you can't be shipping anything with alcohol.
Good point. I hadn't even thought about that. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the concern of, I'm strict no alcohol, but you can bet that when I make my vanilla extract or any of my extracts or tinctures, I'm using good quality alcohol. And, I can do that. I can have it in my house. And, when I gave it up 2 years ago, that's never affected me, when I'm using something medicinally like that. That being said, that might not
be
be
a key point too about quality alcohol.
Yes.
Okay. That makes a huge difference, because when I first started, I was just using bottom shelf, whatever, as long as the proof was good. Most tinctures and most plant matter, you need a 80 proof or higher. Okay. And typically that's vodka. And typically, when you start and you're buying the cheapest stuff out there, it's what you got. Use what you got. But now I know better. And those tinctures versus the ones that I'm making now, huge difference in the taste of them, being able to palate them. I always do my tinctures under the tongue, hold it for 20 seconds and then let it go. It will absorb through the mucous membranes under your tongue quicker than anywhere else. Now, that's not to say that you can't put the dropper full in your drink or your water or whatever. You absolutely can. It just might not take effect as fast.
I will tell you that my cayenne tincture will never again go under my tongue.
I was talking to Rick about that. I was like, because we were discussing what you and I were going to be doing today, and I was like, yeah, I can't imagine putting that cayenne under. That's going to have to go in my water.
I was dancing around the house. I had Bill laughing. I was in tears.
Did you put it under your tongue?
I put it under my tongue because the instructions. Because I bought, this was Christopher's or Dr. Christopher's or whatever brand. Remember, this is when we first started talking about it. And I was like, I want to see how well it works.
Yeah.
Well, it says on there, if you can tolerate it, it works best when under your tongue. Oh, no, there should come a big old warning label that you better be ready to dip your head in a vat of water. That was horrible. Ooh. I was sucking on ice cubes. That was terrible.
I bet. I can only imagine that. There's no way. And I do follow a lady named Barbara O'Neill. That a lot of people have started following her. I love her.
She's who I picture you and me being in, like 20 years. We're going to still be doing this in our 70s, and we're going to be the future of Barbara O'Neill's.
She is amazing and very inspiring. And, she'll tell you, cayenne, she never leaves home without cayenne pepper. She always has it. And she says that the more you take it, the more tolerance your body builds up.
I can see that.
So it doesn't, that little bit that you're doing might be setting you on fire right now, but it's like your body builds up and immune to it to where you can tolerate more.
I believe that. And
I do too.
And in my detox tea, zero problem. It just makes a nice little spice. It's actually really pleasant. I love it. But
straight up tincture. Woo.
I ain't there yet. More power to Miss Barbara O'Neill, but I ain't there yet.
All right. Well, I mentioned the we were talking about dried plant versus fresh plant. So the dried plant would be 5 parts alcohol to 1 part plant. If you're using fresh, you're going to do 2 parts plant, 1 part alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No.
2 parts.
I'm sorry. Alcohol. 1 part plant, 2 parts alcohol.
Yep. Okay.
5 parts plant, 5 parts alcohol, 1 part plant for dried.
There you go.
2 parts alcohol, 1 part plant for fresh.
There you go.
Sorry. I'm thinking about too much.
You've got this Wendy's disease. I do that. I'm always mixing up my words, knowing what I'm saying. No, you got it right. That's perfect. So your triple antibiotic, you were going to share that, or am I jumping ahead? Are you ready to get there yet?
I'm ready for that.
You were going to share, because I know that's one thing we wanted to make sure that people understood how to get to that point. So what ingredients have you been soaking and for how long?
For triple antibiotic ointment. All right. I use, this is something too. It doesn't have to be these particular herbs. Okay. Sure. Research what herbs have the most antibiotic properties. And if you're growing those herbs, then pick a few of them and throw them in some oil. Now I happen to grow bergamot, which is bee balm, comfrey, yarrow, and calendula. And calendula is not necessarily antibiotic, but it is a good skin healer.
Got it.
So that goes into mine. And I dry all of those things or wilt them for several hours before I put them into a jar And I'll do a quart mason jar, and I will fill it about halfway with plant matter, and then fill it up with extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, whatever oil it is that you want to use. For that, I tend to use extra virgin olive oil.
Mhm.
Quality makes a difference. This is another thing. Quality of your oils definitely make a difference. I will let that sit for 8 weeks. Shake it up every now and then when I think about it, when I go in that cabinet.
And you're doing a different one for each plant. You're not doing them all together. You are doing them all together. Okay.
I do them all together in one jar.
Okay.
Okay. So half of the jar gets equal parts of those plants.
Nice.
Okay. And then the other half gets filled up. I label it antibiotic oil and date it, and I let it sit for 8 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. And then once it's sat, I will strain it. I will take out a cup of it, and I will leave the rest in that jar marked. Okay. And then I'll add, we can send out the recipe for it if anybody's interested, but you add a little bit of beeswax. I like tea tree oil because of the antibiotic properties.
Yep.
I add vitamin E. And
yeah.
Then you have an option of adding good quality essential oils.
Okay.
Whether it's lavender, I use lavender and lemon for my antibiotic ointment, just because they're soothing and good antiseptic properties.
Yeah.
All right. And then you mix all that together, all your stuff. Of course, you want to get your beeswax melted into your oil over low heat. Like, I don't even have a double boiler. I always use a little glass bowl, and I put it into a pan, and I just slow melt it.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And I watch until the beeswax pellets, they'll look like they're melted, but you can still see them. And when I first started making balms and things like that, I thought that was okay. That was done. I would take it off the heat. My balms and salves would be like gritty. They would have little tiny pieces of beeswax in them. Oh. So I learned you got to make sure that beeswax melts all the way down. Don't try to be impatient.
I love it.
Take that off, let it cool down before you add any oils to it, because you don't want it burning out. And then just put it into little mason jars or something like that and let it harden up.
I love
it. Good stuff.
Do you just let it harden off up on the in the cabinet, or do you have to put it in the fridge, or what do you do? No,
it's pretty much shelf stable. Once it's hardened like that, I would say it would last probably, I don't know. It doesn't ever stay around long enough because I use it or give it away. I'm saying at least a year. It's good for at least a year.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yes, we will get that recipe from you.
I can type it up. I've got it written up.
Good deal. I figured out the show notes, and y'all forgive me. I think I'm allergic to my son's dog that I'm babysitting. So So I get real stuffy. That's the only thing I can figure. I've resigned myself to deciding that's what it is, because it started the day that she was in the car with us traveling from Tennessee, and I have not been able to shake it. So I feel great. I just sound like I'm talking through my nose, like I've got my nose pinched. Anyway, I figured out the show notes last week enough to put those links to the NASA houseplant study.
Oh, okay,
so
sweet.
When you send it to me, I'll put it in the show notes on YouTube, as well as I can't figure it out on our streaming platform. We're gonna get this figured out, girl.
Yeah, eventually.
I can put it in the show notes on YouTube, which is where it really matters right now, because that's our one place we're streaming at the moment. And then I'll also send it out to my email list, as well as we can post it on Facebook when we post our videos. So perfect. All the things, or I'll say social media, because I think we're going to try and some other social media platforms as well. So
yeah, I think we're going to have to. I think they're going to leave us no choice.
I know. How about that? Here we are being so good compared to what you and I could be.
What we're referring to, if you don't know, is what we've been getting shadow banned, and they've been deleting our contact,
Yeah.
our content stuff.
Yeah. They've been, this goes against community standards. And I know a lot of people are experiencing that right now, but it seems like Wendy and I have been targeted quite a bit already. And we're like, ooh, is this a sign that we're doing the right thing?
I've already had to start a new Facebook page already. I still can't get back on Twitter. X.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So should we do our second?
Let's do our second drawing.
All right.
And if y'all have more questions about tinctures versus teas and vinegars and glycerins or whatever, just shoot them to wendysonwellness@gmail.com.
Perfect. And that is a new email address. Y'all have never heard us bring that up before. Wendy set that up for us last week. Super excited to have that as an option. So you all can send us questions. You can send us comments about things you'd like to see. Still feel free to reach out to us individually if you know how to reach us. But that's just another area that you all can reach us. So yeah.
And always share Wendy's YouTube channel.
Please. We won't have good giveaways every week to entice you, but this is something that really means a lot to us. We're really trying to grow this thing. We are going to, I know we say this every week, but we are going to expand into other networks. It's a little more complicated than it seems like it should be because they all have different rules. So we're working through all that.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's different and has different requirements. So, definitely share, please. If you love what we're doing, please share. All right, I'm going to do this second drawing, but that does not mean that if you were just waiting for this, that you can leave. I want you to stick around because I'm about to go on a tangent. Wendy and I are going to be engaging in this conversation, and it's a lot. So anyway, here we go. This is the fun stuff. Let's see who's winning our second one. Diane Colvin was the first winner. Woohoo! All right. It is Billy, who I am assuming is my past client and friend, Billy Wagman. But when you see this drawing, whoever Billy is, I'm assuming Billy Wagman. She's the only Billy I know, but there could be another Billy out there that we don't know that's watching. I have her YouTube ID, but and I don't have it in front of me, but actually I can look real quick. Billy is at Billy55100. So if that is you, Billy, whether it's Billy Wagman or another Billy, please email us at wendysonwellness@gmail.com and send us your shipping information so that Wendy can send you your DIY elderberry syrup kit.
Yay.
Congratulations,
Billy.
Yeah, that is exciting. All right, girl.
Are y'all ready for a rant?
2 words. I said it at the beginning, but I'm going to say it again. Excuse my sniffles. Goodness. Jillian Michaels. She's a beast. She is a beast. First of all, before we get into all of this, what an amazing time to be part of this revolution.
Absolutely.
You and I are, it's so funny because this has been our world for 12 years and we've been under the radar and we're still, we're still small potatoes and I'm good with that.
Yep.
But we've been screaming this and haven't felt like we have had any voices around us to make sense of anything.
Been wanting to shake people.
Yes. To now have people on Capitol Hill speaking such truth that are big names. I mean, I'm obsessed with Jesus, but I gotta take a step back and say that I'm always obsessed there. But right now I've had this real obsession.
Well, it's so exciting to see big name people making a huge impact with our government.
Yes. I mean, between or between Robert Kennedy,
Mhm.
you know, the Means brother and sister
Siblings,
team,
yep.
Casey and Callie Means, now Jillian Michaels, Dr.
Mhm.
Mark Hyman. There are so many big names. I can't wait to see who actually was at this health summit.
I know,
This
right?
I don't
Yep.
know all the details. I didn't even know what was going on. And
I
somebody,
didn't either until you sent me that clip, and I'm like, "What is going on? What are
one of
What are they doing? Why is she there?"
Yeah. One of my friends, Ellis, he sent me the link from X, which I'm not even on, but he said, it seems that this isn't being suppressed. He said, this is the only place I can find it. And he sent me the 9-minute video, which I've now since shared, although you know how Facebook is about shared videos. You may not see it. If you go to my wall or to Simplify Clean Eating, you'll see the shared 13-minute video, which was her whole speech. The 9-minute one just cut off the first 4 minutes, which was still very good.
Yeah.
So anyway, she was speaking along with a bunch of other well-known health advocates about the just the horrible state of our world or of our nation right now in health.
Poison in our food.
100%, 100%. And she resonated with me so much. This is the way I explained it to my daughter. I got chills and I was in tears the first time I heard it. And I played it for my husband and I listened to it probably 100 times this morning as I was taking notes. It was so beautifully spoken because she's 3.5 weeks older than I am. She spoke so eloquently in a way I never could
She did.
about exactly what,
and with passion.
and with
I mean,
passion.
because there was a tint of anger.
Oh, she was pissed. But
Mhm.
the thing is that she was speaking from a perspective that I have had. Only she, you know, was made aware of a lot of crap, you know, at a young age.
Yeah.
I was not. I was, you know, late 30s, but still she speaks with that authority and passion and perspective that as a 50-year-old woman born in 1974 who has literally watched this unfold and is awakened to what's going on and how I feel about all this stuff and how I feel like I've been beating my head against a wall. I wanted to just jump through and squeeze her neck through the screen because she said it in such a perfect and powerful way. I will say about the 1974 thing. I'll quote her. I have so many quotes. Oh my gosh, guys. So the first one I quoted or I wanted to quote is, and this is again because it's speaking from my perspective as a 1974 baby. She said, in 1974, the year that I was born, less than 10% of our population was overweight or obese. Let that sink in for a second.
Not that long ago.
We are only talking about 50 years.
Yep.
There are our generation and you know, younger generations that are experiencing this, but less than 10% of our population was overweight or obese in 1974. And prior to that, being overweight or obese was considered extremely unusual and rare. Matter of fact, if you ever listen to the Means brother and sister, they talk about how in early 1900s, it was a sideshow act to be obese. They literally had them in the traveling circuses. That's how rare it was. So, but by the late 70s, so we're only talking 5 years. By the late 70s, suddenly the rate at which our population began to grow in size became supersonic. Now I'm going to jump ahead to the next statement she made. From 1974 to 1995, obesity rates had tripled. So now we're jumping way ahead in that window of time when Wendy and I were growing up. This is what was happening. And now it's estimated that 75% of our population is obese or overweight. The entirety of my generation and the 2 generations to follow have fallen victim to over 170 comorbidities that go along with it.
Yep.
Guys, this is what I keep telling you. When I say it's not your fault,
It's not.
we have been poisoned and our minds have been poisoned. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like it's been this corporate greed conglomerate that
Yep.
has attacked us for their own gain. And we are the victims. Now, I'm not playing victimhood.
Nope.
You'll never see
'Cause
Wendy
once
Massey.
you know better, it's your responsibility to do better.
Yep. Yep. Wendy Massey is not a victim. And I got
Nope.
a million and one things I could tell you that I could claim victimhood. I don't believe in being a victim.
That's everybody, right?
Right.
That's
So,
everybody.
right. I will never claim victimhood.
Nope.
So what happens when we learn about this? Like Wendy said, when you know better, you do better. And that has been Wendy knows when I had my awakening, we were both right about the same time.
Yeah.
When I had my awakening 12 years ago, when what was going on with Matthew about all of this stuff, it was insane. I mean, it's like this whole veil came off of my head and I couldn't believe what I'd seen. And
It's shocking.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't know and you start to learn,
Mm-hmm.
it is absolutely crushing to find out that this has been done. This has been a lie.
Yeah.
This has been a lie. They're actually doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crushing.
Yeah. I'm going to jump ahead to a statement she made, and then I'll go back and say this other one. Actually, I'm going to say this one first because it was so powerful. It kind of piggybacks on what the point she had made before. While Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z have our problems, 75% of us are not stupid, weak, or lazy. So hopefully you are wondering what has happened to us.
That's right.
Talk about a powerful statement to our lawmakers and policymakers.
Yes, it is.
So
that was amazing when she did that.
So to your point, Wendy, she made this other comment, and I hope y'all don't mind. I'm quoting because it couldn't have been said any better.
No, she was good.
Oh my gosh. And I can't find a transcript anywhere on the internet. I'm sure there will be soon to find. I practically wrote the whole thing out myself because I was just like, and I need to mention this and I need to mention. But anyway, to Wendy's point, she said, a fog that crept while we slept, literally and figuratively, blindly trusting that the powers that be would never betray us. That was a gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
That was the gut punch you're talking about. It seems unthinkable to question whether a corporation would poison us for profit. It was this betrayal of trust that allowed them to insidiously infiltrate every part of our lives. And that's what got me the most. Because when I first opened my eyes to this, knowing that I went from the girl who would walk in the grocery store and believe that there's no way on this earth that our government, who we have hired to completely protect us.
Yeah, the FDA and the EPA and all like that. We trusted that they had our best interests at heart.
And they don't. They don't. I mean, it is so disgusting. But I mean, that was, I remember, the biggest gut punch because, at this point now, my kids were young adults. And I'm going, what the hell have I just done? I've raised my babies, feeding them things that I thought, was safe. And I was doing all the good stuff. Like, guys, you have to eat your fruit before you eat your pretzels. You have to eat your veggie sticks that I gave you, your carrot sticks before you eat your treat of your gummy bears, or before you eat the only 2 Oreos I gave you because I'm a good mama and I'm not going to give you the whole bag. I'm going to give you just 2. I'm thinking I'm doing all the right things.
Well, that's because that's how we were taught. That's what we were told.
Right. And even though I, as I was raising my kids, knew, okay, well, not a good idea to hand them a bag of Doritos. Right. Not a good idea to have them buy school lunches. I can tell you, I knew that early on.
But how convenient. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
my kids did buy school lunches just
yeah,
because it was convenient.
absolutely. And no judgment against anybody that's done that because it is
Yeah.
convenient. But
And it
I'm
was
saying,
cheaper. It was
yeah,
cheaper than going to the store and buying everything.
isn't that sick? Isn't that sick? And you know what? Of course, we have the free school lunch programs and all that stuff for people that, can't afford a lot of food. And so
Yep.
that it's just continues to be fed. But think about it for a minute, Wendy. Let's back up to our school lunches in the 80s. What the heck was that cardboard pizza? But it was addictive. I mean,
Oh, it was totally addictive because
I,
even sitting here thinking about it right now, all I can imagine is how good it was because
yeah,
that's what we thought.
yeah.
If I actually had a piece right now, I'd probably throw up.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. But that was, unless I was, y'all, I'm gonna show my little wild side, pre, all my changes. But when I was 14 and not saving my lunch money for cigarettes, I would, or for a new cassette
I was
tape.
to say, or yeah, or tape.
Yeah. Then I was buying that crack pizza because
Yeah.
had to put ketchup on it. Had to put ketchup on it because it was so dry. But man,
I didn't do the ketchup, but
oh
I
man,
love the pizza.
man,
I'm making homemade pizza tonight, by the way.
good girl.
Not that stuff.
It tastes so much better.
That's
So
right.
she made another point, and I loved this one line, and this is one y'all have heard me talk about ad nauseum. Anybody that's followed me for any length of time was that eggs became heart disease and cholesterol bombs, while Honey Nut Cheerios got labeled heart healthy.
I laughed so much when she said that because I'm like, when somebody puts it out there like that, it sounds absolutely ludicrous
Yes.
that we all believed it.
Yes. And I still have clients that tell me, oh, I'm not going to eat, eggs because of my cholesterol. And I'm like, you just came from a lifestyle. And this is no one in particular. I literally hear this all the time.
Because because we were told that eggs will make your cholesterol go up.
And the thing is these, not all of them, but a lot of these same people that are, coming to me with all of these health conditions and are avoiding eggs because of the cholesterol have been eating processed foods that are jacking up their cholesterol. Yep. And they have no idea because the boxes say heart healthy.
Yep.
I heard, and I don't remember if we mentioned this the other day. I think it was Casey Means. Casey Means. That was mentioning that the cereals are, of course, the worst, most poison foods ever. Number one worst ever is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Number 2 is Honey Nut Cheerios. Mm-hmm. And how many people have had a heart attack and have switched? I'm making the switch to Honey Nut Cheerios because I had a heart attack.
Because it's healthier than Fruit Loops.
That makes me want to cuss. That just ticks me off how many people have been misguided, and it's been legal for them to lie to us. Yep. It's been legal. So then she says, I thought this was powerful too. The default human condition in the 21st century is obese by design. Specific traceable forms of what's described as structural violence are orchestrated by the catastrophic quartet of big farming, or a lot of times we call it big ag, big food, big pharma, and big insurance.
Yep.
And they systematically corrupt every institution of trust, which has led to the global spread of obesity and disease. She hit the nail on the head.
When I heard that statement, I was like, go, Jillian.
Yeah.
She just wrapped it all up into a nice, pretty package because that was it.
And how many of those lawmakers in there listening were squirming in their seats because they received a check from any or all of them?
All 4.
Because they all 4 have the biggest lobbyists of any industry.
I think she talked about that too.
Yeah.
Trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars wrapped up in these industries.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about this before, I'm pretty sure on here. If not, certainly you and I have talked about it in our own personal rants together. But I mean, they pay money to organizations we trust whether it be medical schools that are, putting out these doctors, whether it be the Kidney Foundation, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, the
Heart
diabetes
Association.
yeah, oh my gosh, the American Heart Association is one of the worst. All of these, they pay them money to get on their approved food lists, y'all. You're going to your doctor to get a list saying, hey, okay, my heart is starting to, I'm starting to have high blood pressure and cholesterol and all this stuff. And he hands you a list that people have paid money to get on. It's not because it's a good list.
Yeah.
And I know this to be true because I can't tell you how many clients I've had come to me and say, I'm so confused, Wendy. I need your help because I went to my doctor. He sent me to his nutritionist, who is also Western medicine trained, who the big pharmaceutical companies influence. I'm not saying the individuals are at fault. I'm saying this is what they're taught in school. It's what their lobbying dollars can get them. And the nutritionists that are Western medicine trained are handing people list with Fiber One cereal, Yoplait yogurt, and they specify the brand. That ought to tell you something.
Yep.
The granola bars, the what are those things? The 100-calorie snack packs, crap like that are nothing but garbage.
Yep.
And I was like you all before this 12-year ago awakening, when my son was being killed by food and by Western medicine, I was just as blind. And I was an ER nurse thinking I knew something about health. I mean, it was insane when my eyes were open. And I know you feel the same way, Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still blown away at how big it all is.
Oh my gosh.
Because you don't want to think that it's to that degree. I still don't want to think that it is.
Sinister.
Those the mean siblings, they brought out a lot of that too, about the people that are on the boards of the different places that actually came from the companies, and now they're on the boards in the
FDA
to run the FDA and the EPA and the Heart Association. And I mean, the infiltration of these people just for money.
It's massive.
Yes, it is massive.
It's so sinister and diabolical and feels like it should be on a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it should be real. But yes, when you have the FDA and, like you said, the EPA, all of those, these are government boards, y'all. Yep. These aren't some private institutions. These are what your tax dollars are paying for.
And we're paying for it in more ways than one.
Right. So sitting on the FDA has been, one of the heads of the FDA was from, was it Pfizer? Who created Percocet? From whichever one of the
big pharmas.
Oh, they jumped right in as soon as we all started getting all worried about the opiates.
Yep.
So, you've got them. You've got the big food corporation people sitting on the FDA. How is anything ever going to change when that is what our tax dollars are paying?
Yep.
And not to mention, it is a gazillion-dollar industry to be a politician. And why is that? It's because these lobbyists are lining their freaking pockets. It used to be that you got into public service. You left your job as a nurse or a doctor or as, an accountant or a farmer or whatever you did for X number of months while you went and enacted the policies that needed to happen that year for our government. And then you went home and went back to your job. They pray to get elected because they're going to become super gazillionaires.
Filthy rich. Filthy rich.
There is no reason that somebody who claims, I don't even know what their salaries are listed as now, like, $120,000 a year, supposedly, or have 7 homes and private jets
and worth millions.
There's no way. This is not a public servant thing. And it is because They are being paid by
Yep.
these disgusting corporations.
Yep. Between that and then knowing what policies are coming down the pipeline,
Mhm.
they've done a lot of insider trading, which any of the rest of us would be in jail for.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. It should be it's criminal. It's
Yep.
criminal, but it's legal. It's
And
just
how did we, the American people, allow this
it
to
happened.
continue?
It happened, like she said, like a fog while we slept.
Mhm.
It
And it's like,
happened before
well,
our
I feel like that's by design too, because like the 50s, in the 50s, it didn't take two people to run a house,
Oh.
two incomes. It didn't take two incomes to run a house. And they still had a vehicle and they had everything they needed and they wore nice clothes because they dressed up for everything.
Yes.
And somebody, mom got to stay home and raise the kids and be involved in the schools.
Right. Right. Thank you for saying got to. That's what I've always considered it. It's a blessing when that
Yes.
happens. It's not a shameful thing. That the
No.
greatest job on this earth is if
Yes.
you're blessed to be able to stay home with your kids and raise those babies. And
Absolutely.
there's
Especially
nothing-
in today's world. If
Oh my
you can
gosh.
do that, that is a tremendous blessing.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. So, one thing that she said, this glut of cheap calories provides a boon to the food industry giants that they just turn into a bounty of ultra processed factory assembled foods and beverages strategically engineered to undermine your society and foster your dependence like nicotine and cocaine. She brought this up after she went through how big ag then feeds big food. And then she said, so we literally cannot eat just one because of the nicotine and cocaine. And this is true. This has been proven.
Yeah, because all of the tobacco scientists went to work for the food
They
companies.
sure as heck did. They sure as heck did. As a matter of fact, even backing that up more, all of the lubricant scientists from post World War II went to create these oils that are in our foods. That's how canola came to be. I hear people all the time saying, why is canola not heart healthy? I'm like, because that's just what they told you it was.
Yep.
There is nothing heart healthy about a fake commercial lubricant that was once used in the war that then became food. It's not natural. Canola stands for Canada oil low acid. It's not even a thing.
Nope.
And that's how far back this has been going. But yes, exactly.
And that's how far they're willing to go to deceive us.
Yes.
Because the way that they twist and use words makes they know that you're going to automatically assume that is a oil.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, I started buying canola when I was early 20s because I was like, oh, well, this is healthier for my family. It's crap. And I still see health advocates out there that don't know better putting canola oil in their recipes. And I'm like, cut it out.
Yep, stop that.
It's so stupid. And she finished that statement by saying, and to ensure that you don't eat just one, added measures are taken to inundate our physical surroundings. We're literally flooded with food and we're brainwashed with ubiquitous cues to eat. She says, and I'm sorry, we're over an hour, but I'm ranting.
That's all right.
Mega celebrities eating McDonald's and loving it. Sponsored direct dietitians paid to promote junk food on social media. That pissed me off. And that's really happening.
Yep.
Utilizing anti-diet body positivity messaging like derail the shame in relation to fast food consumption. And this was beautiful. And she actually got applause for this in the middle of her speech. Time magazine brazenly issuing a defense of ultra-processed foods on their cover with the title, "What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think?" Guaranteed that the processed food conglomerate got to Time magazine and
absolutely
a crap ton of money. As a matter of fact,
absolutely.
wasn't it Time magazine that recently did, I think it was Time. If not, it was one of the big names. One of them that recently did the cover with the two women who were super, super heavy in workout gear and saying, something about, the fat shaming must stop or something like that. And while I appreciated what they were getting at, we don't need to be cruel to people.
No.
We need to be compassionate, but we sure as crap don't need to be making people think that that's normal.
Yep.
And that that's healthy.
But that's what they want.
Yep.
They want people to think that that's normal.
Yep.
Just like they don't want us to remember that, it used to be the freak show.
It was.
In
1975, 10%.
They don't want people to remember that.
Right.
1974,
10% obesity rate.
It's amazing.
Actually, and let me back that up. That's overweight or obese.
Yes.
That's not even obese, which is super overweight, according to the BMI chart. And now it is 75%. That's sick.
Well, think about it. We as kids, what did we do? We went outside to play.
Yeah.
What do kids do now?
They sit.
They
on
sit.
their phones,
Yes.
on their devices,
Yes.
watching TV.
And it kind of trickled to all of us, the world of TV, and then the world of computers, and then more sitting and more watching and more scrolling and more this and more junk, more convenient.
Yeah, exactly. And we're being fed in our brains just as toxically as we are being fed food-wise. Yep. Let me see if I can shorten this. Oh my gosh. I have so much, Wendy. So much.
It was such a great speech. I encourage everyone. We're going to share that out too. Yeah. I encourage everyone to watch it because Wendy's right. Jillian Michaels was extremely well spoken, very articulate, full of passion with the anger that's needed behind it. And I hope someone got the message up there.
Yeah. I will say this part. She said, and when people like us try to sound the alarm, they ensure we are swiftly labeled as anti-science, fat shamers, and even racist.
Yep.
They launch aggressive lobbying efforts to influence you, the lawmaker she was talking to, our politicians, to shape policy, secure federal grants, tax credit subsidy dollars, which proliferates their products and heavily pads their bottom line. I mean, it was brilliant. And how many times have people looked at you and me like we've lost our daggone minds?
Lots.
And it's
lots.
All we're trying to do.
Even our husbands do it.
Oh, yeah. Of course. She also said, and they've created a perfect storm. This is where it went into the pharmaceutical companies and the insurances. They've created a perfect storm in which pharmaceuticals, which cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month, like Ozempic, are linked to stomach paralysis, pancreatitis, and thyroid cancer, can actually surge. It's sick.
And they knowingly, they already know this and they are pushing it anyway.
Yep. So I encourage you. She goes into her story, talks about that, how she changed and how she escaped to this. I've often shared mine. Wendy could share hers. I mean, when you finally are awake, you have a story to tell.
Absolutely.
Because it's incredible what has been, how we've been lied to all these years. And we watch things like my poor mama with Alzheimer's, my daddy dying of colon cancer and bladder cancer when they were preventable diseases.
Yeah.
And they didn't know better.
Yeah.
My parents were raising their kids in the 70s and 80s. What were they doing? They were like, heck yeah, we can microwave that.
That's right.
I
mean, I did it with my kids.
I did
Yeah,
too.
we can go to McDonald's because it's 8:30 on a Tuesday night because we just left the ball field.
And it's 99 cents. Back in those days, it's 99-cent Happy Meals. You're daggone right. Or the what was it? All the microwave stuff that made life so much easier. I mean, my mom is legally blind.
Yep.
Of course, this was a brilliant thing. We looked at it as, oh my gosh, what a gift that she now doesn't have to stress over,
dinner and making it complicated. It's so easy and convenient.
How about fun feasts? My kids had their share of fun feasts. If they didn't like what me and their daddy were eating that I had cooked, well, there's fun feasts in the freezer. I guess that's what they're getting because, you know, but, this line. Sorry. There are not words to express the sadness I have felt and the fury, knowing that she had just talked about people who had died unnecessarily. And like what we're talking about with our parents, your mama went through stuff. I mean, we have all kind, we could spend all day on family alone that died as a result of this. Or have gone through chronic disease as a result of this. So there are not words to express the sadness I felt and the fury, knowing that they were literally sacrificed at the altar of unchecked corporate greed. Ooh. And she said, let's see here. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up because I've got one last thing here to read, and then I'll shut up and we can give our final thoughts. Sorry, y'all. I told y'all this was going to be long, but it's
important.
I need everybody listening to wake up. I do. It makes me crazy.
I think we're going to see with the people that are coming out now and being very vocal and going on the right podcast, going to Capitol Hill, the things that they're doing, I think it's just going to grow from there.
I think so.
Because so many people have been silenced for so long, so many little people. Now it's getting to bigger platforms. So it's getting out there more. So I think we're going to hear more and more and more. And I think it's going to be absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I'm writing letters to all of them. I already wrote my first one to Dr. Casey Means.
Nice.
I'm writing letters to all of them, just saying I'm small potatoes, but if I can help in any way, I don't know that my letters will ever get to them, but use me. Oh my gosh. If any of y'all stumble on this little bitty podcast of, Wendy's on Wellness Wednesdays, use me. This has been my passion for 12 years. Yep. I'm not a brilliant speaker. I'm a decent writer. That's
what it's going to take. It's going to take more of the littles, more group here and a group here and a group here. It's going to take more of that because this is something that every person needs to know.
They do. They do. We need a massive, we need a massive revival in the church, and that will help also. But we need a massive revival of waking up to all of the garbage that we've been poisoned with. And people like our kids' age who've never known life we've never known life except for we can remember the very early, we can watch the evolution of this because we've been alive the entire time of all this. But this is what she wrapped up with, or at least the last part I took. She actually said a little bit more, but most Americans are too financially strained, or psychologically drained, and physically addicted to break free without a systemic intervention. Attempting to combat the status quo and the powers that be is beyond swimming upstream. It is like trying to push a rampaging river that is infested with piranhas. And then she looked at the lawmakers and she said, they tapped you to stand watch. They tapped you to stand guard. We are in the middle of an extinction level event. The American people need help. They need heroes. And people of Washington, your constituents chose you to be their champion. Please be the change.
Because it's up to them. In order for things to change systemically, they have to create the laws preventing the junk.
Yes. They have to. And they have to physically remove the criminals on the FDA, the criminals in the EPA that are allowing all of these horrible agricultural practices. Do you know I just read, y'all, if you've never listened to me and done this, go and subscribe to everything that the EWG is doing. EWG.org.
What a great organization.
The Environmental Working Group. They just sent an email out this week about how oats, our precious oats, I've been telling people for quite a while, make sure you get them that say gluten-free. Make sure you get them that are organic. Our oats, like what is the brand that everybody gets with the dude on it?
Quaker.
Quaker oats had 76% reading of the chlormequat on it. And that is the thing that is the ingredient that has been outlawed everywhere that changes the sex of frogs.
Yep.
I mean, what in the heck? How is this
by design?
By design.
By design. And
you
why?
know,
Why would they want that?
Right. And the sicker we get, the more we need all of the pharmaceutical products and the insurance is going through the roof and everything. It's all cyclical. So you've got to break out of that. You have to take measures into your own hands.
Yep.
I can help you. That is, I mean, I can guide you.
Advocate for yourself, because it starts with food.
It starts with food. 100%. It has to start with food. There are so many other things that we can address, but you have to start with this right here, what you are choosing to put in your mouth, because you are killing yourself. If you are totally flippant, and I don't blame you, I've been there.
But it's also the quickest way to heal yourself.
Yes. I have people that have come to me with massive disease that start to feel better in 2 days. You know, they're calling me because they're like, I just started yesterday. Why is my blood sugar way too low? And I'm like, we better call your doctor because the medications you're on aren't going to be necessary because you're now getting rid of the inflammation. Day 2.
Yep. It doesn't take long.
Medicines.
Real food will heal you quicker than anything else.
100%. 100%. All right, let me shut up. That's the longest we've ever gone. I can go on and on and on, but guys, I just cannot stress enough how much control you have over your health. This is a revolution. Jump on the right side of it, because the wrong side of it is landing you in a box too early, and it's landing you in a nursing home. It's going to have you too sick for way too many years of the end of your life. You know how, let me just say this one thing. It just hit me as we're talking, and I've had this thought before fleetingly, but one of the reasons why they have pulled the wool over our eyes is because as they've been poisoning us, they've been systematically also making more and more medications to prolong our life. So we've been thinking, wow, life is great. Science is wonderful. All this stuff, because our life expectancy grew. Well, it is no longer growing, y'all. It's going the other way. So they had a good run of fooling you. But what they don't like to report, while they're patting themselves on the back for our life expectancy hitting 80, 81, when it used to be in the mid 70s, they are now giving you this huge gap of the end of your life where you are sick and needing them.
No quality of life.
No quality of life, and needing them, needing their pharmaceuticals, needing their crap to keep you alive. Totally planned. And now they're doing it to our children, y'all. There are so many kids that are obese, that are sick, that are on medications from a young age because they now
have immune diseases.
Yes,
at very young ages.
They've created lifelong customers.
Yep.
That's what they've done. It is disgusting. And I want you all to feel our passion on this and get as pissed off as we are and make the change. And if you don't know where to start, I swear this was never intended to be a promotion for what I do for a living, but daggone it, I've worked my rear end off to learn about this stuff and to fight, and I will fight for you, and I will make sure that I guide you with truth.
Yes.
With truth and love, y'all. With truth and love.
Always with love.
Yes. I will guide you with truth and love, and I will not steer you wrong. And I will make sure that you learn what you really should be fueling your body with, and you're going to get well. So call me.
I think I'm going to take some time to write my representatives too.
Yes.
After listening to Jillian Michaels, because they need feedback from the people that they represent.
They do.
To know that
we're watching.
We're not complacent. And that's part of the reason we're at where we're at, because we've been so busy working and surviving that we've gotten complacent with government and politics because it's all become crap too. But it's still effective for our representatives to hear from us on what we want and what we think is the right thing for the country.
Yes, 100%. And on that note, podcast.
What else you got going on this week?
Woo, girl. I'm still loving this. Got my levels. I highly recommend. It's taught me a lot about myself. I won't go into it this week. I'll have more to share next week.
Nice.
In an essence of time. I found a new natural market. I posted about it on Facebook.
I saw that. I'm jealous.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, there's so much happening, and now we're in this like torrential rainstorm for 10 days. So my exercise has been inside, but yeah, and our pawpaws are gone. I'm so sad.
Aww.
But I did get a lot.
All right.
I'm grateful for what I got. But anyway, I won't bore y'all with all that. I will just tell you that this week is all about me reaching out. I'm gonna contact Robert F. Kennedy. I'm gonna do everything I can to reach all of these big names and just tell them, thank you, and for finally speaking for us. And how can we help? Because and they may never see those letters, but at least
they might need help.
Yeah.
Depending on what their goal and their plan is and how to reach it, they're going to need people to help spread.
Yeah. So I just, I'm so grateful that big name people are talking, and I'm just on a high after hearing that, and I'm extra excited. So, but yeah, what you got going on this week?
Girl, a little bit of everything. No details as of yet. I have made the elderberry syrup. I still have not made gummies. That's on my list for tomorrow. I'm praying nothing becomes priority over that, because I need to get that done.
Yeah, I am making some gummies this week too, but I'll save that for another day. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you for letting us bend your ear half an hour longer than we typically intend to, but it needed to be said and it needed to be talked about. And there was no way that we were not going to do the salves and the tinctures and all that stuff. And that was so great. Thank you for sharing all that, Wendy. That's great.
And I'll get you we'll share that recipe too with everybody.
Okay. That sounds great. Mm-hmm. And with that, we will see you all next Wednesday on the Wendy's on Wellness Wednesday WOW podcast. And we love you guys. Stay well.